What's up, world? It's another location, new location. Take a look at your surroundings. It's my new apartment. It's a little brief, you know, glimpse of what my apartment is gonna look like. I'm in the lobby right now. You're gonna hear a lot of, you know, chit chat in the background. At least the office is right there, so you have new tenants coming in looking for apartments. And I think that this is the place to be as far as right now. So, yeah, you know, the title of this video is gonna be called Sister Sister. And this is where I discuss what it was like being, you know, almost like the only child, because I was a boy and I only had one sister and she was younger than me. I was the oldest. So, yeah, that's the title of this one, Sister Sister. But before I start with that subject, I'm gonna speak about, you know, the relationship I had with my ex. And this will be the last of that scenario because I'm not gonna keep, you know, dealing and being stuck in the past. I'd rather just move forward. So, you know, I'm gonna bury the hatchet and move forward. But let me, get to the meat and potatoes, like I said from the last video. So she's living on her own, doing her own thing. But I always thought that we would still be there for each other as far as being friends, because we moved to a new location, a new part of the world, and I thought that we would still be there for each other just in case for emergencies. But that wasn't the case. So she decided to, change her number on me, which I would deem as foul, because what did I do, to deserve that? But then I thought to myself, even though she was doing what she was doing, I didn't handle it in the most mature way because I was emotional about it, you know. So, I would overreact and lash out. And if you watch my last video, you seen how I reacted. I didn't want to be calm. So it was too much going on in my life for me to be calm. So yeah, she changed her number. And it was like, damn, what did I do to do that? For that to happen to me. A lot happened. And it was based upon how I treated her as a recent. And then the things that I've done in my past. So maybe she was doing this from an angle of revenge. Who knows? Maybe she felt like she's been through too much with me, and now it's my turn to go through some turmoil. So I'm like, okay. She changed her number on me. But what did I do to deserve that? There's been countless times where I blocked her too. I blocked her on social media several times. And then, I blocked her number here and there. So I guess you would call it payback. Yeah. But in my mind, I'm thinking that she did that because she has a new situation. I mean, maybe it's a little bit of both, who knows? So, yeah. And I did call her out her name, a lot of times because of what she was doing and how it was affecting me when we were living together. But, what she told me is that she changed her number because she felt like she needed to start over. But you know, that's an excuse. And then she told me the truth. Eventually, she said that if that basically the person she was dealing with was saying that if they want to continue to talk, then she had to change her number. And in my mind, I'm like, yo, who is this guy to think that, you know, he has some type of authority to dictate what she does? And then she sat there and really, you know, went forward with that. And then she didn't let me know she had a new number. You know, I had to find out afterwards. So I'm like, okay. And I'm like, if that's the case, if that's how you feeling and that's how you moving, I got you the apartment. I was a co-signer on that lease. So now you can take me off of the lease. So you don't need me. You don't want me in your life. You know, that's what's up. So now, you know, you can take me off the lease. You won't need me going forward. You're making your bills, you know, making your payments on time. So I'm no longer necessary. That's what you're telling me. That's what it is. That's what it is. If you're starting on a clean slate, let me start off on a clean slate. So, you know, yeah. I hope this audio is good because there's a lot of shit going on in the background, man. You got people walking back and forth in the lobby, and you know, and you have at least an agent talking to tenants or potential tenants. But yeah, let me get back to what I was saying. Um, yeah, I felt some type of way, but you know, I don't even care no more. If it's like that, then it's like that. I'm cool moving on. Yeah, and then also while she was staying with me, and this is where it got foul. When she was staying with me and we shared an apartment, she was giving me too many details about the things that they had going on, as far as, you know, them hanging out, and as far as their sexual dealings. She would tell me that, you know, she had to get a plan B several times dealing with this guy. And she she was hanging out with me in my apartment, living there, and she was leaving my house to go hang out with him. Once again, I know we weren't together, but it's just a principle. So you leaving my crib to go hang out with another man is just disrespectful. And you was meeting up with him to get a plan B. You know, that's crazy to me. See what I'm saying? It's just, you know, women feel like they can do anything without suffering any consequences. And that's the problem, because people always cater to women. People don't cater to men the way people cater to women. It's a dog eat dog world. So yeah, that was crazy to me. And it was times where I called and I called and she was with the guy, hanging out with him. And I'm like, okay, if that's the case, you know, put him on the phone, you know, like, 'cause I mean, he this tough, right? He's this bold, you know, and he feels comfortable to do all this extra shit. And like I said, he wanted to see me and hang with me. And oh yeah, if that's the case, yeah, yo, I was like, man, I'm gonna pull up. You know, that's what I was on. I'm like, yo, what's up? You know, what's the addy? You know, I'm like, yo, put him on the phone. But he wasn't trying to get on the phone. He was very, you know, um, anxious. You know, because I mean, if you're moving like, you know, you're the head honcho and you got the, you know, you got big huevos, you know, you got big balls and all that, and okay, if that's what it is and that's what's up, you know, that's how I was moving, you know, because once again, it came down to respect. You know, you got the big cojones, and if that's what it is, man, I approached that because it wasn't even about her stepping out. It's about how she's doing it, and then also the dude she's doing it with doesn't have any care or remorse. So I'm like, okay, no mercy, right? If there's no mercy, then there's no mercy, you know. So yeah, I was on that, you know, and wrong, but my pride got in the way. We all have an ego, and I have pride, and I wasn't allowing all that to fly. I just wasn't. So I'm like, okay, yeah. And then it got into detail as far as doing things together, going to basketball games and events, and I'm like, man, it just felt like it was comparisons. So I didn't really appreciate that because as people, you know, there's just certain things that you don't do. That's how I feel. Um, you know, it was definitely a turbulent situation that I've grown from, and I learned from too. And I realized that I don't want any parts of that. I'd rather, stay in myself. And then if the right girl comes along, the right girl comes along. But I refuse to chase. I'm not chasing nothing. So yeah, but that was pretty bad. Very, nasty situation to be in where people could have got hurt and based off someone's actions. So I could have caught something. You see what I'm saying? As far as uh, STI or STD, and he could have caught a hot one for playing with me. You know, because as a man, if I knew that another woman that I was interested in was staying with somebody, I'd be like, yo, we can't really do this because you have a situation at home. But once you have your own apartment and this is what you're gonna do, okay, then we could make time for that. That's because I'm mature enough to understand how people can be as far as their emotions. So, you know, yeah, and yeah, but I'm gonna put that to bed. That's the end of that situation. So, oh yeah, I want to get back to her uncle. So her uncle, like I said, he's a rat, and he likes, you know, to harm people who won't defend themselves. You know, like I said, he's not a person that's gonna just face adversity and take it to the chin like how I would. He'll just do things behind people's back. So her uncle, raped her when they were young, and he also raped her brother. So that's kind of crazy. The fact that he has a history of doing these things, and he did that, you know, to her and to him, and now he's, gay. Her brother is gay. So who knows if that incident influenced my ex's brother's um, preferences. So yeah, that's just kind of sad because he didn't really have a choice. You see, like you taking away his people's choices. You're taking away a person's choice to like what they like. So he's playing both sides of the field, and he always been that way. So like I said, while he was in jail, he was cellmates with somebody that I knew, and it's like, how did y'all make that happen? And they were on some funny style stuff, So that says a lot about his character once again. And based on everything that I know about this guy, Officer Lincoln, what I refer to him as, um, what I believe is that he definitely had a hand in what happened to me as far as me getting cut. So now I know. And now that I know, now I can do what I want with you. I, I'm not gonna play. And like I said, I'm gonna keep it clean because I don't want to do fed time. I don't want the feds to catch wind of anything. So like I said, if I were you, man, just stay put, man. don't go nowhere, don't run. I mean, because we all have time, a time to go, expiration date. So with you, man, I'd rather you just sit there, man. I'm gonna keep getting this money, do what I do, and just sit there, man. Uh, or move, whatever you want to do, man. Cause look, man, I gotta do what I gotta do. You play with me, and you never apologize, you know. And like I said, you probably still have feelings towards your niece. So yeah, man, there's no coming back from that. So yeah, man, that's what it is. Um, but now I'm gonna speak about my siblings. And matter of fact, before I get into me speaking about my siblings, the things that I've done for my ex's family, it wasn't a lot, but it was because while I was making money in ways that kept me afloat, um, I even, took her cousins out, you know, to, you know, parks. We played basketball, we played tennis, and I was out of the kindness of my heart. You know, I wanted those kids to see something different because me coming up, I was always outside. I like to do things in nature. I like to have fun, even though I come from, the inner cities. I just wanted to see those kids smile. So I know how much that does. I even built a relationship with one of her little cousins, you know, and I took all our cousins out, even got one of them some sneakers. You see what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like, and one of the little cousins, I took him to the store, let him get what he wanted, got some ice cream, all that stuff. He was like my little son that day. Brought him to my house. He got to see a lot of things. He got to see, the money and guns and stuff. I was letting him see what it's like, to see what the world was like because being in Connecticut, you're sheltered in, and I don't regret any of those things that I did for them people, because I don't have a problem with them, you know. It's just that I see things for what they are, and their family is fucked up. But that's a lot of families across the world. So yeah, yeah, I did a lot. I was there. So but now my family, siblings. So my sister and I, we had a great relationship. We always used to fight each other. We were very physical. That's why she's so tough. It was a video where I mentioned that a girl wanted to fight her, and I took her to the park to confront her. And they didn't fight that day, but I just taught her like, you have to have heart coming from where I come from. So um, that was one situation. And then her blood brother, which is my step brother, I'm not gonna say his name because I actually respect him. They had a little altercation, a little fighting, but that's what siblings do. But when I was younger, I didn't understand that, and I'm like, he wasn't there like how I was there. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm the real brother, thinking egotistically and pridefully instead of just looking at things for what they are. But who's gonna think like that at 12, 13 years old? I was a freshman at high school, so I actually seen him, you know, outside, and I approached him. I'm like, man, whatever happened with my sister, please don't let it happen again, because I care for her. I don't want nothing to happen. He was a bigger dude. You see what I'm saying? He was bigger than me. He was husky, like he's strong. So I didn't want him to actually hurt my sister. But that's his sister too, and I know he's not stupid. He's smart enough to know how much damage he's inflicting. But I know he actually had temper problems, and anger management issues. So, you know, I feel like that had to happen. So, you know, that's why I did what I did. As a older brother, I had to be a guardian for my sister. especially being in the Bronx. So yeah, but yeah, I don't got no problems with him. It's still love, and I still respect his father because he always been a great father. It's just that he wasn't available for me when I needed him. So that's what that situation is. And when my sister and I were younger, when we didn't have cable, we 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 would share bedtime stories. I would tell her a lot of stories to help her go to sleep. Even if we had cable, that was something that we did. It was like a tradition, you know. It helped her fall asleep. It gave her peace, and it's crazy. My sister, she's she's older now, and she has a kid. She has a kid before I do. So I'm the only one right now where everybody's like, "Yo, when are you gonna pop one out?" And I'm like, it's expensive right now. I have to do what's best for me. I'm still trying to figure out life. So I can't bring a life into this world right now. I can if I have to. I know how to hustle and grind and build something substantial. But I'm trying to build me. I have to build me first. So yeah, I'm like, okay. So yeah, me and my sister, we had a lot of good times, but we used to fight a lot. But it was all love. And when my grandmother was here, while we were in Stevenson Commons, we would jump on my grandmother's bed. She used to watch a lot of gospel, a lot of Lifetime shows, and church. She was very churchy. So there was a song called um, "We Fall Down, but We Get Back Up," and we would just sing that song. We fall down, but we get back up. And as a kid, I feel like I even understood that, message. I was very young. I was probably about 7, 8 years old. And when that song played, me and my sister would, fall on the bed and then get back up. And my grandmother would tell us to stop flopping on the bed. Dang, yo, those were good memories. Yeah, I'll cherish those. So, and then, yeah, and then my sister done some things that I question, you know, as far as, dealing with, some of my cousins. And I don't know what kind of, relationship they have. And I'm talking about cousins, on my mom's side, as far as like, from New York. I don't have nothing to say bad about my Florida family. My Florida family's wild, but I don't have nothing to say about y'all. But I'm talking about my New York cousins. You know, I don't feel like, you know, that situation was genuine. I feel like there was a lot of underhanded things at play that, you know, my sister won't tell me, and that's because my family is secretive. See, like how my ex's family, they're secretive too, but my ex was open enough to tell me about what's going on. In my family, I don't know what's going on. And it's like, if I don't know what's going on, I don't want to be around it. So, that's just where I'm at with it. So, yeah. So, I spoke about my sister. Oh, yeah. And also, my father. So, I don't even know if this guy's my father. I see a lot of similarities, but we didn't even do a blood test. We did the cotton swab test. Man, saliva could dry up. It could be brushed off. It could be wiped off. A saliva test, cotton swab. You supposed to do a blood DNA test. That's how you know if the kid is yours. So yeah, I met my father after what 25 years. He wasn't in my life. He has kids everywhere. He's a Marine. So you know how the military is. The military just like to go to the bars and hit the clubs and just fuck everything. That's what they do. So he was never really like stagnant. He never stayed in one place. He never sat still. So he abandoned us in the Bronx, and he told us. Well, he didn't tell me. He told my mother that he knew that the kid was his, me, and he left anyways. So I mean, he's an asshole, and getting to know my father, he revealed that he is one. And then he even told me himself that he's a piece of shit. So I'm like, okay. I mean, that's not something that you say about yourself, but he's obviously saying it for a reason. So yeah, I was getting to know my father as recent, and I realized that I don't want his energy in my life because I don't trust him. You know, yeah. Um, and it's crazy that he even has, you know, uh, daughters. So, like I said, I don't even know if he's my father. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't, because I see similarities, but we don't even have a lot of the same things. You know, I don't expect us to be exactly alike, but as far as like integrity and then like even image, I'm looking at the ears and I'm like, you know, we don't have the same ears, and I don't get it from my mother. So, you know, I see certain parts where like, okay, maybe so, but once again, the DNA test, it wasn't even accurate. We was sitting in his car, did a car swab test. So, there's no way that I can really guarantee that he is my father. So it's just a messed up situation. And then as I was getting to know him while I was living in Florida, he came to visit. He visited me for a couple of days, and he said he would take me to work. And I'm like, okay, this is maybe some father son time. It'll be chill. We hung out to eat at a diner. Uh, and then we even ate at a restaurant the next time he came. But he told me that he would take me out to take me to work, and he made an excuse on why he couldn't take me to work. So he's full of excuses, you know. And I could take myself out and drive, and I have my own car. But he said he would take me to work. I'm like, okay, that would be cool. You would take me to work. You ain't get to take me to school. So, I was giving him a chance. And he said that he had to catch a flight the next day. So I'm like, come on, man. And then there was another time where I was moving into an apartment in Florida. I was staying at my mom's for a little bit. Then I got my own apartment in Florida. And then, he came around that time. So I'm like, okay, you want to help me move this stuff into the house? But no, he was hanging out with his wife. I'm like, so that's what he prioritized. He prioritized what he had already instead of what was in front of him. Meanwhile, I'm his only son, if I am his son. You see what I'm saying? So that's crazy to me. He has 6 daughters, and I'm his only son, allegedly. Because I can't prove that we are related because we did a cotton swab test. So, and we didn't go into a facility together. Now we went into a facility and did a blood test, and the results came back right away or whenever, then I would know. But I gotta believe what that man say. I don't believe what a man says. I need paperwork. I gotta be there. I gotta see it. Fuck what the motherfucker say. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm like, yeah. So, he flaked a lot of situations. He wouldn't pull up. He really just wanted to see me, like, but he didn't care to build a relationship or bond with me, you know. And yeah, financially, like, he assisted, and I didn't need the help. It was just more of a test, because I've always done things on my own, so I didn't need his money. But I'm like, shit, if you want to throw me a couple, $100 or some cash or whatever, if I may need it, I might not. Look, I just want to see if you're gonna do it. And yeah, he was there, and then there was times where he wasn't. And I'm not knocking anybody who doesn't have it. It's not about the money. So it's just the relationship was faulty. And then getting to know my sisters, if they are my sisters, you see what I'm saying? Getting to know them, they weren't very, open. They were very shallow, closed-minded. They didn't want to speak. you know, and I understand that they have lives and all that, but I was their only brother if I was their brother. So like they should have the same excitement as I did walking into the situation. And I don't think they did. They just looked at me as a piece of meat. Oh, who is this guy? Just like how, my electric father looked at me. He's like, who is this guy? He's a grown ass man. And that's probably just how he's looking at it. And he doesn't have the emotional, depth, to understand what was actually in front of him. So if they don't value you or know what your worth is, I'm not gonna sit here and play the waiting game. I'd rather walk away. So that's what I did. And like I said, it's no hate. I just don't have time for bullshit. So you know, and also there was a lot of things that he said that rubbed me the wrong way regarding my mom's. He would say, "Oh, you need to get off her titties. Stop sucking her titties." I'm like, what? You haven't been there to understand what it was like to be raised by, my mother. And I understand that he was raised like that too, as far as, being raised by a single parent. His father wasn't around. So it's like now it's gonna be a continuation of what happened. We could have broke the cycle. But like he's just too negative. And I'm not perfect. I do negative things here and there. You know, people do people things. So, but he was saying things like that, and it's like you can't say that. You weren't even there. Now, if we had a relationship already, then you could talk all the shit you want to talk. But that's not the case, man. You don't know what my mother suffered, just to keep me, from doing horrible things. And, raising a boy is tough. I even had to, be checked into a mental asylum and, you know, being in a psycho ward. I used to say crazy things when I was a kid, like 9, 10 years old. I was suicidal, you know. Um, yeah, I really was, but I didn't have the courage to actually, take myself out of it. But it was always a thought. So I would say instead of suicidal, I was homicidal. That's what it was like, you know. Um, coming up where I was coming from because I just want to love. When you're not getting love, that's what it does. It destroys you from within. So I didn't have any like place to bound myself and balance things out. I didn't have that structure that I have now. So, it's just crazy to think about. So yeah, I went through a lot. Luckily I didn't have to take any medication. But I do believe that I might have a little tad bit of bipolar. I have the tendency to flip flop through emotions, like the aggression. But now that I understand how I feel, it's easy to balance with. It's easy to, navigate. So I'm not gonna say I'm full blown insane, but I'm just gonna say due to my circumstances, it may have changed some brain cells. That's all I can say. It's like, your brain is a muscle, so it just adapts and it keeps changing, it keeps changing. So, we're never the same person that we were yesterday. So, yeah. And then I asked him a lot of questions, as far as my upbringing, as far as his upbringing, and what that was like. And and then as far as him talking about people, it was a woman that he was speaking about, and she had a miscarriage, and he was saying, well, oh yeah, that's what she gets, or F her and all this extra stuff. I'm like, dang, like I understand his frustration, but I'm like what could she have done to you to make you feel that way? And that's not like, you know, once again, I don't know what kind of relationship, him and that woman had. I don't even think they were together, but he was just talking foul and bad mouthing somebody. So I'm like, man, if you're bad mouthing like that, you definitely bad mouthing about me or anybody else. And that's some vile shit to say. You don't just speak, you know, like so candidly like that. You just, like you gotta, watch what you say. Just out of respect. Cause see, you talking like that and then something can happen. That's why I always walk around and I respect people. But once you show me, that you don't give a fuck and you want to give me your ass, give me your ass a kiss, then it's whatever. It's whatever with me. So I'm like, all right. So, and like I said, what I mean by whatever is like, man, sometimes I don't give a fuck, you know? Like, I love who I am, and I love that about me, you know? I love that I don't give a fuck. I care about others, but I care more about me. But once you draw that line on me and you cross, I'm like, okay, you know? So I'm so reckless sometimes that I don't give a fuck about my life. When I walk around, I care. I'm not gonna do anything to hurt anybody, but what I mean is, I know that there's more to life than just this one. You know, I believe in eternal life. So I don't give a fuck about this shit, you know? I don't give a fuck about this. So I'm like, man, when I walk out, anything can happen. So so that's what I mean. So sometimes I don't give a fuck about me, you know? But that doesn't mean I don't give a fuck. It's a balance. I mean, if you understand me, you understand me. So yeah. And then I asked him, you know, if he was a part of an organization because I did my research and I seen that he was a part of an organization, which I'm not gonna, you know, speak too much on, you know, but he's attached to something, you know, which is like, you know, like a hidden team. That's the best way to say it, a hidden organization, you know. And I'm like, man, yo, I asked him if he was a part of it. You know, I seen signs, I seen symbolism, all this stuff. You know, he's in, you know, specific groups. And when you're in the military, you can be tied to anything. I mean, that's government shit. So I asked him, like, yo, you part of this? And he said, nah, he lied to me. And maybe he didn't feel comfortable enough to tell me. But that's not the point. You know, I'm honest with you, so you should have been honest with me. I didn't really do anything to harm you. I didn't do anything to harm your people. So it was like he was always on defensive mode, you know? So it's like, at some point, you gotta open up. And I was talking to him for about 2 or 3 years, you know, on and off. But I just felt the relationship wasn't right. And he was really like just, you know, moving moving like a mark, you know. And like I said, I can't respect that, man. So you can be a part of this thing, you know, this hidden organization, and you know, like basically like a sorority, you know. So it's like, okay, if that's what you're a part of, you know, or a brotherhood or whatever, I know you might have taken an oath where you can't tell people, but I'm not gonna just sit here and tell the world, like, you see what I'm saying? But now I don't give a fuck, you know. But I don't think it's that important for me to disclose what organization you're a part of. You see what I'm saying? So that's what it is. Um, yeah, yeah, like in a fraternity, I don't know what you got going on. You see what I'm saying? Whatever it is, and you're not open enough to just tell me. So yeah, yeah, it's just uh, if he is my father, he has a terrible mouth, and he's not trustworthy, and he just comes off as a snake, and he's shown that through his behavior. So fuck what you tell me, I'm watching what you do. So yeah, so I really don't want to come into contact with him. Like I said, I don't hate him. I'm just tired. I'm not gonna play with you, and I'm not gonna put my life in danger by being around somebody like that. And he's shiesty. So, and I guess that's where I get a lot of my ways from. But I feel like I have to balance. I'm not gonna just, you know, cross somebody. You would have to do something to me in order to make me act a certain way. I feel like with him, he just does shit. So, yeah, yup. So I'm really good on that. I'd rather just, you know, stay in my lane, keep building me, doing what makes me happy. And like I said, this is a glimpse of what my apartment is gonna look like. Right now, we just in a little cubicle. It's like the office, you know what I'm saying? Uh, you know, we got coffee in here. I don't drink coffee. You know, I used to though, here and there. But that shit bad for your blood. I want my blood flow. You know, I want to keep my skin vibrant. I want to keep looking young. I drink a lot of water. I'm on the health tip right now. You feel me? So that's where I'm at. So yeah, you know. So I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say about, you know, this video. Like I said, it's called Sister Sister. I hope y'all enjoyed this. And pretty sure there's some things that I left out. Hopefully I didn't. But, I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.